Welcome to the inaugural standalone movie review from Eat Sleep Nerd, and we're kicking it off with a banger known as Sisu.
Also, this is our first time doing this.
That's what inaugural means.
Oh, yeah.
Not inaugural. This is our centennial episode.
It's our first annual. Oh, wait.
So Sisu...
Inaugural and first ever.
Good lord. Sisu is billed as a historical action film set in Finnish Lapland during World War II. It stars some people I cannot pronounce the names of. Jorma Tormila?
Sure.
I'm not even going to try. You can look it up on IMDb. So, this is a relatively short movie, about an hour and a half long.
Yeah.
And
it did
90 minutes.
Can you sum up the synopsis for me?
Summarize a summary.
Yes.
It is John Wick in World War II.
Good. All right, give me a little bit more.
No, I felt like I nailed it.
John Wick if he was like 60 years old.
Yeah, so it follows a...
So wasn't that Keanu Reeves?
Yeah, I know,
That's
right?
true.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
out.
Is that Paul Rudd thing going on?
So
he does.
So it follows an ex-Finnish commando, and it opens with him prospecting for gold.
Mm-hmm.
And lo and behold, he finds the gold, even though he is old. and
And he feels pretty bold.
he feels pretty bold. No, so he...
Was he cold?
So, yes.
No, but on this plot, I'm sold.
Yes. Oh, my God.
Watch out, Eminem.
So then what happens?
If you're still watching, we appreciate it. No, so he finds essentially the mother lode. Like, it's literally about as much gold as he can possibly carry. And I know I keep doing it. I'm sousing on accident. It's unintentional sousage. It sounds like a drug side effect.
So what happened in this movie?
May include accidental sousage. So, oh good lord. So we broke Jason. So he finds all this gold, and the only major problem here is that he's like hundreds of miles away from the nearest town. So he's got to take the gold to town. And along his way, he stumbles across some Nazis. And these Nazis want the gold. And they take the gold. And then he takes it back violently over the course of 90 minutes. And it is very much, it is literally produced by the same people who produced John Wick. So they've kind of figured out their niche. And it really is John Wick in World War II. Although I would say John Wick, while stylized, at least tries to be plausible, if not likely, in its violence. This movie did not worry about that.
No.
Oh, yeah.
It
Big
was
splashes of blood.
Yeah, like it. Okay, if Quentin Tarantino directed a John Wick installment set in the Inglourious Basterds universe, it would be this movie.
That is an accurate description.
Yeah.
And I will say, I think as you were saying with John Wick, it is believable in its world. And you're okay with it. This movie, I was not okay in some ways because a lot of the ways he was like the character is known for being immortal.
Yeah.
No one can defeat him.
Yes.
He finds his way out of every predicament and he goes ham in the process.
Yes.
And by the end of it, I was kind of annoyed a few times because the ways he was surviving were just convenient.
It was plot armor.
Yeah.
He had plot armor.
Like you knew he couldn't die, so they found ways to keep him alive. It was not him keeping himself alive.
Sometimes they didn't even find a way.
Yeah.
He just kept being alive.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, and that's a pretty big caveat.
Yeah.
Like if you can swallow that pill, you'll probably have fun watching the movie.
Yeah.
If you can swallow that pill, that's a big pill. For some people, that's a horse pill. So, which don't even get me started on horses after this movie.
Are we going spoilers with this?
I don't know. Should I do a spoily red
Are we
alert?
going
I think we
spoilers?
should do
Let's take a
spoilers.
Yeah, yes.
You do want
Okay.
to do spoilers?
Want to talk about it.
Spoilers.
Meanwhile, as Corey seems to have some sort of seizure. Just
We don't have any lights.
I was gonna
Uh,
say Corey is gesticulating with the hopes that there will be like a banner or
something. Right,
Otherwise, he
a
just looks
siren or
like he's having a fit.
So before we get into like specific plot things, just some overall things. It is a very cool movie, and especially just in the way it's orchestrated, because it is broken down into like chapters. It's like you do have chapter titles that pop
It was
up.
very Quentin Tarantino.
I was gonna say
Very
very
Quentin
Tarantino-y.
Tarantino.
Yeah.
And some cool things that we noticed is that the main character, he doesn't speak until like the very last 30 seconds of the movie.
Literally
Yeah.
10 words.
Yeah, we counted.
Yeah. And so that's just really cool. Like that, the fact that
They made some bold stylistic choices.
yeah. And so in that aspect, it was a great film because it was unique in some aspects.
Mm-hmm.
And what it was doing was done really well. The action, the very first thing you see him do, he puts a knife all the way through a guy's head.
A Nazi's head.
And as he said, so we're fine about
You don't feel
It's
bad
okay.
about it.
No.
Yeah.
No.
No innocents were harmed.
No.
But then, well, then it got pretty intense when just out of nowhere a horse explodes while he's riding on it. So
Pretty graphically too.
Like,
Yeah.
you don't really see it exploding. You just see the parts flying,
Yeah.
which is a little worse.
Yeah. So all that to say, it is when there
Very
is action, it's very
gory.
graphic. Yes,
Yes.
very gory.
They did not shy away from the violence.
Yeah, and all of us actually watched this together, even with Jason over there in Iowa. He watched with us remotely, and we actually
Via
synced it
satellite.
all up.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and so actually we're watching it together. And I every once in a while was looking on the FaceTime to see what Jason's face was, and like when some of the graphic things was happening, he like was turning away from the screen because it was getting pretty intense. So this is a pretty heavy film when it comes to gore and stuff at times. Not
Thank
the
you
entire
for sharing that, by the way.
Yeah.
Jason
usually-
can't stomach the gore.
Usually movies like this will like have a wider shot of the gory things.
Nah.
They wanted
Because
you
it's not so intense.
They wanted you in it.
Yeah.
Like they wanted you to
They wanted the
believe
chunks
this
to
man-
land on you.
Yes.
I mean,
Yes.
They wanted you to believe this man was unstoppable.
Yeah.
Because some of the things, like later in the movie, when he's giving himself his own sutures, in which you can
Ugh.
probably deduct
Ooh-wee.
from
Yeah.
the scarring that he had already.
He has
Yeah.
done this before.
He's done this before, and he is suturing a pretty good wound in the side of his body.
And he uses gasoline to disinfect it,
Yes.
which I don't know if that's even possible.
I don't understand science enough to know.
It
if
looked
that's
like a pretty
thing.
dirty gasoline tank.
Yeah.
So
I
don't
thought he was
know.
going to use it to cauterize the scar. You know,
Yeah,
Which he had
well,
already
you know,
done
so-
earlier in the film.
right.
He set himself on fire. So
Yeah.
it was totally within the realm of possibility that he was going to do it again.
Yeah.
Okay, so some things I liked about it.
Yeah.
Again, we even talked about this right at the beginning. It actually has some beautiful cinematography in it.
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
It really
Um,
does.
Oh, yeah.
Like they very much leaned into some golden hour shots, into sunsets and sunrises. They did film it in Finland. So for what it's worth, this was
Accurate in terms of...
was shot on location essentially, and that is a beautiful countryside. And it was neat because I feel like every single World War II movie you see is either in France or Japan.
Yeah.
And so this was an area that you don't really get to see, and it is just different enough that it was kind of a nice contrast. And Finland isn't a country you see on film very often. So it was different. It was neat. It didn't feel like the same World War II movie I'd seen 8 million times. Like the location felt unique.
It was definitely different. Yes.
Yeah. I also liked that aside from the SS commander, who I recognized from something, I couldn't put his face on it.
Exactly. He looks so familiar.
Yeah. Aside from him, you don't know anyone in this movie.
Yeah.
Which actually helps with the suspension of disbelief and everything else, because you're not attaching them to anything else.
True.
And so for me, it was relatively easy to just sit there and watch it. Some of the more con-ish things, I'm all for suspension of disbelief. I think it's great. It's what makes superhero movies possible. This one pushed it sometimes. And I think that is a side effect of choosing a historical setting that inherently means it's kind of grounded, right?
Mhm.
And I think they were hoping to use that as kind of a boon to help you believe the disbelievable, unbelievable things. But I got to say, like I said, if you can swallow the pill and just accept it, you'll have fun. But there is a scene where, again, I don't even remember his name. Sisu is underwater and he's running out of air, but they send in a Nazi to see if he's down there. He slits the Nazi's throat and sucks the oxygen out of his lungs so he can stay underground or underwater even longer. That was right around the point where I was like, okay, that's a little ridiculous.
That was the point.
Same
That was when you started.
There might be enough science there that, okay, maybe, sure. I don't know. I
think it was a lot of pseudoscience. It was like,
yeah, like I
hey,
don't.
Pseudoscience, yeah.
do you think that if a guy cut somebody else's throat, do you think they
And
could suck
suck
the air
the
out of
oxygen
it?
from
Like,
his
sure, just
lungs?
run with it.
Yeah.
Well, do you think they could? Doesn't matter. Let's just do it. Okay.
Sounds plausible.
Yeah. Now, to be fair, this was directly after he set himself on fire so that a dog wouldn't bite him. So,
Yeah, right.
like, they set you up for this. So no, I mean, it's to me that was the only real con. It is asking a lot for your suspension of disbelief. But if you can choke that down, it was fun. It was a fun movie.
Yeah, and they kind of do it twice. The Nazis catch up to him and they hang him.
Right.
That's
But as I was thinking about it, the way that they did it, usually you'd see hangings from like a platform, so they drop, so their neck breaks.
yeah.
They just strung them up.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So it was slightly possible to think that, you know, from the previous scene when he was underwater, he could hold his breath.
Yeah.
And the
then he-
choking wouldn't necessarily
Yeah.
cut
then
off
he,
his larynx or something like
yeah.
that.
Then he impales himself to hold himself up a little
Ugh.
bit so that it's not choking him out.
I think that's where Jason turned around.
Well, I mean, we were all going, ah!
Oh, yeah.
Like, I mean, like, it's,
And that's actually where the film lost me, because the way he escaped that was just so convenient.
Yeah.
Because the only way he
if the
was-
plane hadn't flown by,
yeah, if the pole he was hanging from had not tilted to where he slid off of it because the plane flew by, he would have died. And so just that plot armor just was a little bit too much for me. It was too convenient.
Well, it's like, and to be fair too, they held on to it for a while. He was sliding off, but then like the guys show up and he's still up there, and then he falls off.
Yeah.
So it wasn't easy.
So, you know, I'm beginning to wonder if this movie was designed to be over the top enough to where it is intentionally venturing into the supernatural realm. Like maybe this
Oh.
guy is immortal and it's by pure luck of circumstances that these things that he's able to maintain his existence.
his
Like-
superpowers,
Like maybe there is a supernatural element to the story that they're trying to tell. And maybe that's why there's a lot of things that are unbelievable. It's because it's supposed to be unbelievable, and it could only occur if this person actually had some immortality going on.
Okay.
So, and
Well,
and
then-
I only came to that while listening to you right now.
I feel like you're doing mental gymnastics.
Well, no,
Well,
I was
but-
I was going to say, then with that in mind, do you think they should have sold that aspect better if that is what you think was happening?
Okay. So this is kind of maybe where it falls apart. I think this movie couldn't figure out if it wanted to be just kind of a visual storytelling piece,
Hmm.
or if they wanted to explain things as they occurred. For example, when he comes across the city that's burning, okay, is it his city? Is it the one that he was going to? Is it a city he's familiar with? Or is it just one that he came across? Okay.
Yeah.
It was questionable. Like,
Yeah.
okay,
Yeah.
it's a horrific thing, but what is it to him? We're left to wonder. But then, when the woman is laughing in the back of the truck and about what's about to happen, she goes into this long narrative about the character. And I feel, that was an over exposition. And that kind of took away from the visual storytelling, and it really laid into like we're going to tell you, not show you.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think that's it. The balance wasn't there to do what you just asked, to do what you're talking about.
But I also think that like with that, it probably would have fell into the realm Josh was talking about, how it was very much on the line of disbelief the entire time because of how exaggerated everything was. So if they would have leaned into showing you, I don't think it would have been the same movie in like in the aspects of tone, and it's almost like kind of like you were saying, it was like if it was kind of like they saw it as like a boogeyman story, and then having that exposition in the middle of the movie into the rest of the action kind of fit very well. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
No, for me, I contemplated just telling you guys I was done about 4 times during the movie.
I could tell. I could tell.
Colorly shocked.
Yeah.
Yeah. I did not like this movie at all.
Okay.
The only thing that I liked about it was the cinematography.
Okay.
I thought,
fair.
And I thought there were some really good, great shots. One of the shots that came to my mind is when he was walking and the gold color was shot behind him. Yeah. And I think it was when he was actually going to the city. I think that's where it was, but it was a really great shot. I did not realize that it was produced by the same people that produced John Wick, because there was an artistry to John Wick, and a believability in the universe that they created. I didn't get that with this movie. For me, it was like violence for the sake of violence. It was gore for the sake of gore, and there were no redeeming aspects of it to me. Like I was just seeing like a gore fest in the framework of a World War II movie. And I sat through it because I knew we were going to talk about it.
Yeah, no, I'm kind of with you. Like this was not the movie that was being billed.
No.
I thought it was just going to be.
Oh, really? Because I thought it was exactly the movie they billed.
I don't think it was,
and that's
the John Wick in World War II that I was expecting it to be.
No,
because it wasn't very heavy on him combating his way out of scenarios. Like there was just a few instances where he was kind of the badass that he was advertised to be. It was the beginning where he took on that initial group, and then it was the end where he comes across the convoy. Aside from that, he doesn't really do much.
So I'm going to retort 2 of your points. So the trailer really promised just you're going to watch Nazis blow up. Like that was really all they promised. Secondly,
they didn't promise horses blowing up.
That was added spice.
Yeah, that was for flavor. No, the second thing, and I think it's actually a key takeaway. Every time they discussed what Sisu means and what his character is that they never actually said he was a badass.
True.
All they said is that he refuses to die.
That's a good point.
And that the whole point of Sisu is that every time you get knocked down, you get back up.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not so much that he's a one-man killing machine. He kind of uses the whole not dying thing to accomplish that. But it's not because he's particularly great at killing. It's more like he's just very hard to kill.
Right. Especially when your plane is crashing at terminal velocity, happens to land in a peat moss bog, and then you've wrapped yourself successfully in a bunch of leather in the back of a plane, which somehow protects you not only from any broken bones, much less dying. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm glad we're on the same page.
I don't know. It seems like we're kind of conflicted on this one. Like it was both equally parts exactly what we were expecting, but also not what we were expecting. I think we can kind of agree.
I mean,
on
yeah,
that.
I'll even add in what took me out a little bit was when he fell off the sign for being hanged. There we go.
Yes,
Hanged.
you hanged
English.
a person.
Yes.
Yeah, you hanged a person. You
The
hung
guy
a
walks
thing.
over, kicks him in the shin, legs break, falls immediately on a rock. Coincidence?
I don't know, was it?
Because I mean, that happened.
Or did Sisu put the rock?
He drugged the rock over, like did the
Or
math.
did supernatural
Like-
luck just place everything right in that position?
So I
Exactly.
do want to say this, since we've talked about it, because Sisu is like a Finnish quality, right? Like it's something you aspire to, right? That would lead to believe that they would have, legends and myths, the same as American has like Paul Bunyan, right? So maybe
Who?
this was meant to be. Oh my God!
I'm kidding. I'm kidding. And
Same
Babe
as
the Blue
America
Ox.
has-
Okay, we're good. Don't
Yeah,
worry.
same as like America has like Johnny Appleseed.
Jason,
No.
let him finish.
So maybe this is meant to be like the telling of a legend.
Yeah.
Maybe you're not supposed to take it seriously.
Hmm.
Well, I mean, you're
Hmm.
obviously not supposed to take it seriously, but like it's just kind of like
A
like when you
a
find
tall
out that
tale.
yeah, like when you find out that 300 is not supposed to be taken literally. It was the Spartan telling the story to get all the other dudes hyped at the end of the movie.
Yeah.
So again, I mean, if you look at it through that lens, you're not supposed to take it literally or seriously. It's the lady in the truck telling the story to everybody else. And it goes from there.
Right.
I'm pushing more artistry onto this than there is.
Oh no, I mean, I
Maybe,
can
but-
see that.
But
Yeah.
it is a thought I had while we were discussing it because
Yeah.
I do feel like I could see how that might have been an intent that just wasn't executed well.
Well, then that
Yeah.
goes into they should have.
They should have done better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
But
Yeah.
I come back to, and my score will be based on,
let's get into the scores.
if you watch the trailer, that is the movie you're going to get.
Very much so.
If you watch that trailer and said, yeah, that looks cool, you'll probably say, yeah, the movie's cool. You may not rave about it.
Yeah.
But I also don't think you'd be disappointed.
All right. Well, then what are you giving it?
A very soft but solid 4 out of 5.
All right. I'll go next. And before I give my score, to answer one of Josh's questions from earlier, the man that played the leader of the Nazis, whatever rank he was.
Yeah. The SS officer.
His name, and I'm probably going to pronounce this incorrectly, Axel Hinnie.
Sure.
You probably recognize him, at least I recognize him, from his role in The Martian, the Matt Damon movie. He was one of the astronauts that left him on Mars.
Yes, that is him.
Mm.
Yes.
Uh,
Okay.
So, with that in mind, I'm going to give it. And I also, just as we were discussing this movie, I was kind of bouncing back and forth because you guys were making some really good points that I had not considered. And so, it just in retrospect, my opinion might have changed. But I think I'm actually just going to land right back where I originally was at a 3 out of 5. I had an okay time.
Bro. Go with your gut.
Yeah, I had an okay time. I didn't hate the hour and a half I was watching it. If it had been longer, that might have been stretching a little bit too hard. But it was a good time.
No, I agree with that. It was the perfect length for what it was.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would not have wanted it any longer.
So 3 out of 5 for me. Let's go Jason next.
Since I know we can't do zeros,
Wow.
We've
I'm gonna
never
give it-
actually established that.
yeah, I'm going to give it my GPA of my first semester of college. 0.46.
Jesus.
Wow.
What?
Do you mean a girl, bro?
You just didn't even
Like,
try.
No, I'm going to give it a 0.5. We'll just round that up to 0.5.
All right. I guess we're going below ones. I didn't know we could do that.
Wow.
So,
Well, if
I
we
guess-
can't, I'll do a 1.
no,
But
what?
you tell
We're
me.
establishing right now. You're going below a 1.
Well, then I would like to change my score of the Lizzo episode of
Christian, what about you?
Well, for me, this movie was kind of like a movie that I've grown up with because my mom is a psychopath.
Jesus.
Because she was not scared of showing me movies or like letting us like sit in movies like this. But I'm gonna give my score in Finnish
Oh,
because that's the language in Finland.
wow.
I'm just going to play it for us.
Annan sille 5 avointa haavaa 5.
That was a really long way to say.
I'll give it a 5 out of 5. Actually, 5 open wounds out of 5.
Whoa.
Wow. Okay.
Whoa. This is probably the biggest range of scores we've had on this team before.
Yeah.
Huh. So,
It's a divisive movie.
yeah, very divisive. Interesting. Interesting. So, all told, all averaged together, for those that are new to our ranking system, we score things individually among the 4 of us, and then we average everything together to give us one big aggregate score. So, all of those numbers put together, the Eat Sleep Nerd score for Sisu is a 3.13 out of 5. It's right there in the middle.
Right there in the middle.
Right there in the middle.
I mean, I feel like that's fair.
Yeah.
It's not the greatest movie ever made.
Yeah, that's a very middle movie.
Yeah, and that's the thing about our scoring system. We generally our combined scores generally come out to, I think, what would be fair.
Yeah.
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 Generally. I mean,
as a collective, yes.
yeah.
Yeah.
3 out of 5 times it does that.
We are the new.
No, I'm just 60% of the time it works every time.
Every time.
Right.
All right. Thanks for stopping by and watching our first ever standalone movie review for Eat Sleep Nerd. We're going to have more to come, especially coming up in the month of June and July. We have a lot to discuss.
We'll have better movies next time.
We'll have, jeez, we think. I don't know.
It's a pretty good movie.
The closer we get to
Or
it.
maybe we just won't bring the fuddy-duddy.
Oh, you.
Aw.
Well,
right.
shucks, guys.
Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Make sure you click that subscribe button, click that bell button, leave some comments if you have something to say. And in the meantime, eat, sleep, nerd.